Well, it already feels to me like time is slowing down, if not stopping, but Father Time, Saturn goes station in retrograde this week. Neptune goes station retrograde this week. We transition from June to July. A lot going on, a lot of shifts. And we're going to talk all about it. Dreambot is continuing to get healthier, and it is showing some confirmations in the astrology. The Dreambot shows Mercury and Saturn. I'm looking forward to showing you that there. And it really is looking healthy as ever. I'm going to put up there Dreambot 2.0 because that's what this is. So the main astrology, as the Dreambot indicates, it is missing one of the key components, and that's the Mars aspect. But at the end of the week, we have Mercury going into Leo. But until then, in Cancer, and that's what keeps this emotional mayhem energy window open until the end of the week. So July 3rd is when Mercury will go in there. And that the reason why we have the circle around it is because the Dreambot is showing it. So the Dreambot in a healthy state does have some future look into it. It's reading into the future, and then in this case, about a week. Also in the Dreambot is Saturn, and it's undeniable in my opinion. Saturn and Neptune in Pisces both go station pretty much at the same time. There's a 3-day separation from the tube. There's a day at the end of June. They will be stationed, in other words, not moving relative to the Earth at the same time. And then Saturn will go retrograde first, followed by Neptune. All of that happening in this week, except for maybe I think we'll look at that. We'll look at that in detail. And then Mars has a sextile in there, and that's important because this is going to be the main theme for the I-Ching. It's an increase with hexagram 42, but line 3 makes it by an accident, and that sort of indicates the synchronicity or the opportunities afforded by all these sextiles, and the sextiles are going to be on Mars. And by the end of the week, then Mars and Uranus starts a conjunction. So that's when we get into this, starting the early signs of the rebel and the rebel energy window. So put it all together. Look, we're looking for this Gantt chart with an overlap of all three. That's the astrology, Dreambot, and the I-Ching. All three kind of shows time slows and question mark with happy accidents. Are we looking at all these synchronicities as time kind of stops? Time slows down, or Saturn stations for 3 days. So that's interesting. All right, let's go. And exciting stuff for CJ Star. Monkey scores third win, best comment, third week in a row. Congratulations. And to boost, hope you had a birthday blowout. Happy birthday to you, a little bit late. And well done, CJ Star. Now, it is my pleasure to show you the Dreambot. Here we are. And boy, is it healthy as ever. I confirmed, I individually went through all these numbers associated with these words in the dictionary and confirmed it does look like it's getting relevant current data from the dreams, and I'm so freaking happy about it. Everything's clean. All these percentages make sense to me. And so here we go. Number one word with a big surge score, car. Now, what does that mean? Travel. Well, who's that? Well, that's Mercury. And Mercury is also communication. So told, way, tell, been. Precognition is a mental state. Where, that's a question for Mercury. Went, that's a past. All these things are Mercury. All the red is Mercury or Gemini. But Mercury more relevant for this discussion, especially when Mercury goes into Leo at the end of the week. Now, the green is Saturn, and these are time indicators. And one word is work. That's a very Saturn kind of word, but the rest of them are indicators of time, like before, first, later, all that kind of stuff. Old. And Saturn is a very important figure this week, as you will see. All right. Moving into the overview, you are here. We are sandwiched between our first of two full Capricorn full moons. And then we're going to see the day after July 4th, a new moon in Cancer. We're sandwiched right in between those two big events. So we're at their last quarter moon. And we'll get into that detail later. We are in the current energy window of emotional mayhem. We can show here on this chart, we are after this vertical line in June. So that is Saturn Station. And then as we get into July, the big things to report here are we're going to get into July on the second half of our CIRF week. Then Neptune will go station and retrograde. So that makes us, once this week ends, the day before July 4th, we have Pluto, Neptune, and Saturn in retrograde to start off the whole July. So the furthest out planets are in reverse, basically, apparent to Earth. And we have a new moon on the 5th in Cancer. We have a full moon, our second full moon in Capricorn on 21 July. And I haven't really looked through and sifted through all these alignments, so don't know yet, but I can tell you that they get a lot more rebellious a little bit after July 4th. But even, I'll show you at the end of our CIRF week this week, so at the end of our astrology talk, I'm going to show the main alignment that creates this Rebel's Paradise energy window. And then at the end of July, we're going to be into the Leadership Academy, or highlighting leadership, hopefully healing leadership. All right, let's get started day by day. Thursday, the 27th, this is when Saturn goes station. This is the moon is right over it, right as Saturn stops. So moon whips over Saturn, and like it almost looks like it causes Saturn to stop moving. I mean, it's a slow planet anyway, but it stops apparent to Earth and stations for 3 days. I'll show you a chart here in a second. So these two are trine, this big, healthy water trine over to Mercury, Venus, and not quite Sun, but that is part of it. So it's basically Cancer, trine, Pisces now. This is why we have this emotional window, and lots of emotion, energy flowing back and forth through all these players. And now we have Father Time, who is station, is making this kind of soul coach, compassionate builder, compassionate sage, or even soul coach. It's the mega water trine, lots of smooth, easy flowing emotions. That's not necessarily a good thing. Strong emotions, but it's with trine, so it's easy to pass back and forth. Deep capacity for emotional understanding, strong sense of empathy, a need for nurturing, and if used correctly, if used incorrectly, you can find it easy to sacrifice your own needs, and you may struggle with boundaries. But the big news here is Saturn stationing, making time, Father Time stops, like quite literally in the physical sense. Will that translate out into time feeling like it's slowing down? Well, it is a match with Neptune, as you'll see, but it's also a match to last quarter moon. But before we talk about the last quarter moon, I'm just pulling from our energy window video, so I'm not going to regurgitate the whole thing. I encourage you to go look back. If you're interested in this Piscean or Piscean synchronized swimming idea with Saturn Station, and then Neptune follows suit 3 days later. And so we have both Neptune and Saturn going station. If you're more interested in all this, please go see the Emotional Mayhem video. And that's what I made it for all this explanation of why all this water. So with, okay, so on the last day of June, both Saturn and Neptune will be stationed together. That's what this chart represents. Then Saturn will go retrograde on July 1st while Neptune is stationed. So it's like synchronized swimming. Then 3 days later, on the last day of our CIRF week, on the 3rd, Neptune will go retrograde. In other words, go backwards in accordance with us. So not reading all this, that's back in the video, but basically the archetype for Saturn station is time stops. The archetype for Neptune station in Pisces is the veil is lifted. So all that's happening, as you saw in the time chart. Saturn is stationed with the last quarter moon in Aries. I don't have the chart here because everything's got scrunched because of all these things I got to put in here, including the extra month that we talked about earlier. So we have the last quarter moon in Aries, and that right there should put off some red flags or some alarm bells, because we have this kind of drawdown energy. Last quarter moon is when you're buttoning up all your activities for the month, for the lunar month, and not doing a lot. You're starting to get ready to just rest and recoup and rejuvenate at the last quarter moon. But Aries is not real good at that. Energetically, it wants to go. It's yang, it's output, go, 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 impulsive. So we're going to talk about that in the solution on what to do. And it is conjunct the North Node. So it's going to be a lot more reflective, but I'll have a lot more to say on that when we get into the solution. On Saturday, the 29th, now, what I didn't highlight before is the time. I want to go back real quick. This is just something as I was, brushing up on this before the video. I looked at this time, 9:19:22. That's 22 seconds a.m. This is when Saturn goes station on the 27th. Well, remember 9:19:22, because on a different day, on the 29th, at 9:19:22, exact same numbers, but in the PM. But what do you make of that? Exactly 22 seconds. This is when Mercury and Uranus are in a sextile, and it goes exact. So this is Mercury here in Cancer, sextile is right here, and Uranus is in Taurus, 25 degrees, 41 minutes, Mercury 25:41. It's a big energy, and it goes towards our I-Ching, as you'll see, because it's the sextile. Sextile is very synchronistic and not lucky per se, but opportunistic, and happens to be exactly the same time. So for you numerologists, I think this boils down to a 5, and that's for both. This is Saturday, that's the 29th, but also on Thursday, the 27th, Saturn going station just happens to be exactly at 12 hours apart, but exactly at 9:19:22. So numerology, I think, boils down to 5. I'm not a numerologist, so for all of you who are interested, I think that's important. It sounds important. But this sextile, Mercury and Uranus, is the lightning bolt. And it represents a sudden flash of emotional insight or revelation brought about by unexpected influence of Uranus in Taurus. The metaphor represents the ability to gain new perspectives on emotional situations through unconventional, surprising means. You wouldn't be surprised to find creative solutions to emotional challenges or conflicts, combining intuition with practicality to navigate emotional terrain. So look for that emotional lightning bolt. Skip Sunday just for space, not anything real significant or any big change. But Monday the 1st, this is July 1st. Welcome to July. Mars is with the moon. This is going to be the biggest energy of this sextile. So you got moon conjunct Mars, and then sextile. Both of those are sextiling to a player in water. So over here in Cancer side, sextile to Venus, and it's pretty tight, 1 degree. And then a sextile over here to Saturn, and it's a double because there's 2 players here. And this, with all the 4 sextiles, really is better lucky than good. You have the bull without the sextiles, you just have moon and Mars in Taurus. You've got a bull in a china shop. But the sextiles to water, the water brings this sort of velvety feel, the velvet bulldozer, or iron fist in a velvet glove, or the compassionate conqueror. There's a lot of different archetypes that could be here, but it's an archetype of an unstoppable force that is both strategic and caring. The compassionate conqueror uses a perfect blend of willpower, imagination, discipline, and tact to overcome challenges and manifest their vision, while also supporting others. Hello. And that'll be an important component for our solution, by the way. Tuesday the 2nd, this is Mercury entering Leo at 7:50 a.m. Central Daylight Time. This is the 2nd. And it's a dramatic messenger. Mercury grabs the microphone in dramatic fashion and says, "Hey, listen to me. Hey, everybody, I've got something to say." But remember, it's opposing Pluto. And so Pluto makes it a very disruptive discourse, generates intense probing conversation that challenges the status quo, because Pluto is still in Aquarius. And it shatters illusions and brings hidden truths. It's amazing that Assange is, like with this energy here, released. Interesting on the timing, eh? When you put this combo together, so you've got Mercury going into Leo, and you've got this right at the onset, this opposition to Pluto. You get the lion's roar, the lion's roar of revelation. The combination of planetary energies unleashes a powerful force of profound communication that dramatically shifts perspectives. The lion's roar of revelation boldly questions societal norms and sparks enlightened discourse on the collective that spurs progressive change. As a side note, Venus trine Saturn retrograde is going exact on Tuesday the 2nd in a perfect trine. And that happens at 8:41 p.m. Then we get into Wednesday, and the big thing I'd like for you to remember here is that Mars and Uranus begin a wide orb conjunction. So this is the start of the rebel. The rebellious fireworks await. So this technically has started, but the energy is only going to get stronger. And I think it's around the 11th. Don't quote me on that. But it's not on the 4th. But on the 4th, you will have this alignment. And it'll be technical trine, a loose trine over to Pluto, the revolution in the revolutionary sign of Aquarius. So it's going to be very fireworky, very rebellious, very transformative. And as another side note, this alignment getting stronger as Pluto makes its moonwalk backwards towards Capricorn. This is the alignment. This is the energy window down the road that I'm looking at now. This alignment's going to make to this trine to Uranus is going to be one of the legs of the grand Earth trines that are in my next energy window. So I'm looking forward to that. That's more of the September timeframe. And that will be a very transformative time. All right, let's get into the I-Ching. We have 42 increase, but it's not just sheer expanding outward. It's change line 3. So that produces even a miscalculation or seemingly unfortunate event can lead to good luck in a time of general increase. Here's what it reads with change line 3. It says, one is enriched through unfortunate events. No blame, but there is a chance of injury. So it displays that there's this paradoxical situation where it's an accident. There might have been even harm that's created, but it's enriching to the people participating or affected. So individuals might feel stronger or more capable through this energy, may feel a heightened sense of caution, because there's like this unknown thing that happens because change is happening, and acceptance of the paradox. It's like the silver lining is right there with the trade-off, and so it feels weird. All right, let's go summarize. And here's our summary slide for the influence before we hit the solution. Stay with me. The solution is very, very important this week, in my opinion. So here's the influence. This may be a whirlwind of shifting energy this CIRF week. Not only are we shifting from June to July, we have two synchronized swimmers, Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, who are changing directions this week. The combo of two planets stationing amidst a last quarter moon may feel like time is slowing down for a bit. That's this picture. By the end of the week, Mars finds himself in fortunate sextiles and may end up saying, better to be lucky than good. This is this guy with his awesome poker hand. Better to be lucky than good. All right, let's do the solution now. And when you put the change line 3 in, you get hexagram 37, extended family. So respect for different roles is essential, a balance of feminine and masculine. Fulfill your role, show respect, communicate openly, provide support. So it's very team building, but it's not just your little cluster of family. So it's beyond the family. It's beyond your most familiar friends. It's like some of their friends. Remember, this is the solution. So we also have to do the conversion chart. The most applicable to the I-Ching influence was Mars and Moon in Taurus, 16 degrees, 27 minutes. That puts us at Rave hexagram 2 and gives us Sidereal Aries. And so here's the Rave. It's line 4, secretiveness, more than modesty, the ability to preserve harmony through discretion. The higher goal transcends personal acclaim. The team player acknowledged as the leader, but never the captain. So it's one of those people that everyone follows and listens to, but they're not technically the boss. They're the real leader, but no one's acknowledging them as the leader, right? But they just follow them. Where higher knowing does not have to be expressed to be recognized. That means that we have an influence without being appointed as the spokesperson or as the leader or the manager. But our influence, our higher knowing, is being exuded to the group. So that's the second modality that indicates that you need to be around people. So we're going to sort that out as well. But be cautious, because the downside to the Rave says the inability to keep silent when the opportunity arises for expression. So there's the match to the last quarter, even though we're around people. It's not a very expressive time. It's not a lot of talking. It's a lot of more listening, and yin time with people. I'll be more detailed here in a second. All right, here's our solution slide. Let's look at the upper right first. You have this picture where you've got the boss demanding these people, work hard. But the real leader leads by example, not by telling people what to do, just shows them what to do and influences quietly. We also saw the I-Ching 37, which is team player. So, all the things and behaviors associated with that. And we have Sidereal Aries. So Aries typically is outward, as I mentioned before, outward yang, fire, impulsive. So we got to sort all that out because that seems like action at a last quarter moon, which doesn't jive. So here's how we work this out. Although most of the modalities could seem very action-oriented, the last quarter moon is probably the most important to heed. It is time to wind down, go with the flow, relax, and rejuvenate. But since there is a strong emphasis on teams and leadership and all the expected goodness, the outcomes that you can get from the astrology are implied, they need to be around people to get those benefits. Spend this yin time with your tribe, your family, or your community. Now, for a lot of us task-oriented people, this is going to sound like a lot of work to be around people. If you're one of those introverts, or if you're one of those that gets drained at these gatherings, then you're not thinking about it in terms of what needs to be done. We need to change the activity that you're doing with them, ironically, from actually laboring and to just being with them. So being with them is a lot more low-key, synergizing, harmonizing, and a lot of what for us task-oriented people, I'm calling myself a task-oriented person with Mercury and Capricorn in my natal chart, but I find it hard to just waste time with people. Some of you do that really well, but I had to learn how to do this. Yes, even if you're introverted or even if you're a task-oriented person, you can gain energy. Yes, you can gain energy from a group gathering as long as you are being with them. So being is a lot of listening, but it's a lot of relaxing, but it's also taking in, because yin is receiving. It's receiving the energy of the group. And so the analogies, when we went to U2 and Casey Stadium, Arrowhead, I think it was, the energy was unbelievable. And I point that one out just because it was different than all the other venues we've been to. I'm not a particularly big fan of U2, but the energy. So you're taking in, breathing in the energy and reducing your tension, fears, anxiety. You're reducing those all the while so you're not wasting energy. And that's how you gain energy. Also, when someone talks in a group, if you're being with them, you're not thinking of what you're going to be saying next. You're just noticing and receiving. You're receiving their communication, taking it all in. You're savoring the experience. You're savoring the energy there. So that's what I mean by, for us task-oriented people, looks like we're wasting time. But when you're actually doing this, you lose track of time. That's another way that we can tap into this Saturn Station. Time does it. There is no time when you're in this being space. So there is wasting time is an illusion. When you're in that mentality, you're not thinking about what you're going to say next. You're not thinking about what you're going to do after the event. You're just being there. You're being in the present moment, taking it all in. All right. The Sidereal Aries combined with the Rave means to have the quiet confidence of a true leader. The true leader is not the one necessarily appointed at the top. It's the one that's influential. So be the person with the strong influence. And that's where you're going to use the Sidereal Aries. You're going to use your confidence, create confidence to be there and be influential, but with very little expressed. So you're not telling people that you're the leader. You're not telling people that you're trying to influence. You're not trying to sway them. You're not trying anything. You're just being. And by the presence of your being, you're influencing quietly. This is the archetype. This is the energy. Lead with quiet confidence and watch as higher knowing starts to percolate through the group. Watch how your influence, without speaking too much, without expressing, pervades, percolates through the group. Okay? Hopefully that was clear, because it is a very difficult topic for a lot of us. All right, here's what we have for plant of the week, and I'm super happy to present this one because I'm using this currently for a broken foot, comfrey, mixing it with coconut oil and lathering it up over my foot. And incidentally, I have an x-ray, an update x-ray here in just a couple hours to see how my healing is done for the last 4 weeks. So then I'll be able to tell you how the comfrey did. And I'll be able to tell you what the other I'm using 3 main treatments. Comfrey is one of them. So if I'm not ahead of schedule, I've got some questions for these modalities. But I think it's working based on what I'm sensing from my broken foot, i.e., a lot less pain. It's not perfect. I'm not walking around normally and jumping around, but it feels like I'm ahead of the game. So anyway, all right. So this represents Saturn. Herbs of Saturn is comfrey. And remember, we are not a medical advice place. So if you want to use comfrey, you're interested in it, you need to do your own research, and you also need to talk to your doctor. Talk to your sick care provider. As an herb of Saturn, shown in both astrological and alchemical glyph, comfrey and all the Saturn plants are powerhouses of foundational change, time, and holistic healing. Included in, I can't pronounce that, Medica Materia in the 1st century AD, comfrey provides a host of healing properties in a quick time frame. Through the masculine Saturn and feminine moon, comfrey can directly embody and connect humanity to the wheel of the goddess or time itself. Interesting. Did you know that comfrey's alternative name is bone knit because of how rapidly it heals damaged bone and tissue? It's best used as a topical. There are indications that I noticed when I did my own research that they're internally taking comfrey can be damaging to the liver, which was interesting how it can help with psoriasis, but you would still do a topical so that it has some sort of filter, I guess. So it's not so, I guess, acute into the liver. But again, I'm not giving medical advice. And if you want this whole text, I would take a snapshot of that so you can read it for yourself. I'm just taking some snippets of it. The symbol of Saturn represents the sickle of the god, Greek god Kronos, keeper of time. Comfrey also corresponds to the triple goddess through Hecate, or the crone, symbolized through the waning moon. And super interesting, because this is directly associated with what we're seeing in the astrology right now, this week. Hecate holds a lantern at the crossroads as a guide to establish boundaries and to navigate beyond the veil. And that's what's interesting too, is because Neptune Station takes away the veil, at least for a couple days. She offers great protection, she being comfrey, great protection and light to weary travelers on empty roads at night. So you can put it in a bath. You can use comfrey to bring you into the moment with excellent grounding and soothing. I can relate to that. I did feel soothed It's not like a drug. It's not a euphoria. It might be a placebo. I thought it was a placebo. But it's not like relaxing either. Doesn't help you go to sleep, but it is somewhat soothing to my broken bones. And then it can activate the wheels of the chakras, especially the throat, both physically and energetically. Add it to a bath salt if you'd like. And this was brought to you for humanity with love by Sean Elizabeth Nelson. Thank you so much, Sean. Oh, that was a mouthful. How did we do today? How can I do better? And we got some interesting days coming up ahead in July, as indicated by our 3 big energy windows. We are in the emotional mayhem. And as long as that trine lasts, the big trine from Cancer to Pisces, the window stays open. The rebel alignment technically begins on July 3rd, day before July 4th. July 4th being the big Independence Day, freedom, rebellions, all that. But we don't see the rebel window really kicking gear until later in the month. I think the 11th. That's where that alignment really gets strong. That's Mars and Uranus in Taurus together. Trine Pluto. All right. Big, powerful energies coming in. And looking forward to seeing what it brings us. Bringing humanity forward, not backward, into the new, into the beneficial, and progress. All right. I'm out of here, everybody. Thank you so much. And we will see you next week.